Hello, and today we will be covering CCNA 2 Lab 2.1.1.6, and it is configuring basic switch settings. Now, for the purpose of this lab, I have removed my answers, which I previously did, as I'm sure you guys can fill in the question marks by yourself. The main purpose of running through this lab is for the people watching these videos that are not on NetAcad, so they don't get access to these labs. So just again to give them an idea of configurations and configuring what's necessary on each lab. For the purpose of this lab, the configurations are shown pretty much. However, again, for those that are on NetAcad, they might benefit from this video. So we're going to start off now. Let's just scroll down there, just objectives. We'll just get to steps. We'll be using 2960. It says iOS 15.0. However, we are using the packet tracer 6. Are we using 6.1? Let's have a look. No, 6.2. We're using the new 6.2, and I think the images are still running 12 point something. So let's have a look. 2960. Where am I looking? Yep, version 12.2 there. It's gone to it's switch version 12.2. Don't make no difference though. So let's get started. So I need the 2960 and I need a PC. Right, cable the console connection as shown in the topology. Do not connect the PC Ethernet cable at this time. So let's just scroll back up. So that's the Ethernet cable F06 to the PC, and the blue one is the console cable. So we'll connect the console simply by that, connecting it to the console on the switch, and don't connect it to the fast Ethernet port on the PC. It goes in the RS232 port, and there we go. So as it said, we are not to connect the Ethernet cable as of yet. Can miss that. Like I say, these questions here which you'll come across, for those on NetAcad, you can fill those out yourself. I won't be going through them. Right, assuming the switch had no configuration file stored in the non-volatile random access memory, which is the NVRAM, you will be at the user exec mode. So let's just get onto the switch from the PC. So we go to terminal, them settings should be fine, and press OK. And there we go, we're on the switch now. So let's have a look. We're on the user exec mode now, which you can normally tell by that there. And we are going to get to privileged exec mode by enabling it. So we just type the command enable or en short, and as you see there, after the switch, that there's changed. That means we're in privileged exec mode now. So verify clean configuration file with the show running config privileged exec mode command. Okay, so you can do show run or show running config as it says, and it'll bring your current configurations up. This is totally clean. Obviously we've just inserted the switch into the virtual environment. However, it is always good to check that the switch is clean before you do start work, especially on live equipment as well. So we've done the show running config. Examine the startup config in the NVRAM. So we simply do a show startup config. And as it says, startup config is not present, and the reason why it's not present is because there's no configuration stored that have been saved on the switch. Right, so why does this message appear? Examine the characteristics of switch virtual interface for VLAN 1. Now, switch virtual interface is basically a virtual interface. It's not a physical interface. Normally VLAN, so let's have a look at that. So show interface VLAN 1, show in VLAN 1. So you can do show interface VLAN 1 or show in, which is shorter. And you will get from here, that's what you need to be looking at. So let's just ask what it's doing. Is there an IP address assigned to VLAN 1? I'll let you guys answer that. You should be able to identify whether there is or there isn't from showing the interface, or by scrolling up and having a look at the running config we previously entered. I'll leave you guys to fill that out. So let's move down. This is a quick lab. It's just basically, I mean, the configurations are already here for those doing Cisco through NetAcad. For those that aren't, I'm just running through some basic configurations so you can kind of get the gist of setting up basic settings on a Cisco switch. So we've done the show run, show interface VLAN 1, show IP interface VLAN 1. So let's have a look at that. And we are looking from, it does get a bit confusing if you don't pay attention, especially if it's your first time using it. We are looking from here to there. So for the question it's answering you should be able to, asking you should be able to get the answer from there. So as we examine the version of the iOS earlier, at the start of the lab, we found out what version it was. However, there is a command to do that, so it is show version, and you will get your version here. From where are we? There we go. So from there, that's your version there. Switch version normally at the bottom here. So 12.2, 26 ports, one switch image, and that's the model. 2960 LAN base. So there we go. Right, show version, we've done that. What's the base? Right, so I'm going to do a show interface F06, and for you guys, this is just for the guys not on NetAcad, this is just showing the details of Fast Ethernet 6, which hasn't been configured and there's nothing connected to it. For the guys that are on NetAcad and looking at the same lab, you know, I'll let you guys fill in the questions for that. So let's move down. Let's do the show VLAN command. Show VLAN. And where are we? So it's from here all the way down, and this is just showing let's scroll up. It's just showing the VLANs and the ports within the VLANs. Currently only VLAN 1 is set up by default, which is why all these ports are in VLAN 1. However, that changes when you configure it. So now we get to the, well, we're nearly at the fun bit now. We'll just do a show flash, which is to examine the flash. And we will use the flash command. And that's just examining the flash memory for those not on netcard. So now we get to the configuring bit. So part 2, configure basic network device settings. So let's have a look. In this step you will configure the PC and basic switch settings such as hostname and IP address for the switch management switch virtual interface. Assigning an IP address on the switch is only the first step. As the network administrator, you must specify how the switch is managed. Telnet and SSH are two most common management methods. However, Telnet is not a secure protocol. All information flowing between the two devices is sent in plain text. Passwords and other sensitive information can easily be looked at if captured by a packet sniffer. So, A. Assuming the switch had no configuration file stored in an MV RAM, verify you are at privileged exec mode, enter the enable, which we are. We're already at the privileged exec mode. So now we go into the global configuration mode, which is conft or configure terminal. Conft is just shorter. I'm sure as you start configuring more, you'll use the short commands, but it is good to know the full commands. So we now need to assign a host name to this switch. So currently the host name is switch, as you can see there. Now to change that host name, we just simply type host name, and it'll be, we change it to S1. So S1 and enter. And as you can see, it's changed from switch to S1. Simple as that. So now it's telling us to configure password encryption. Now what this basically does is, if we do a show, so what this basically does, when you put passwords on the console line, VTY line, if the passwords are encrypted, they can be seen on here, and if someone gains access to the switch, they'll be able to see the configurations in plain text. So it's good practice to use this config to encrypt all passwords. So we're just going to do a simple service space password dash encryption and enter. Now all passwords will be encrypted. So assign class as the secret password for privileged exec mode. So all we're going to do that is enable secret, and the password is class, and enter. So if we just do show run, you can do show running config within the global configuration mode. You just need to put the do first, do show run, and enter. So as you can see, we've just enabled that password there, and we sure as hell didn't put all that in. However, that is the encryption algorithm. So that's encrypted, we know that now. So we are now going to prevent unwanted DNS lookups. This is great for when you are configuring. If you do type configuration wrong, it won't try look up the DNS, because that's what it does, and you'll be sat there waiting on the configuration line for God knows how long until it cannot resolve it, and it starts lets you typing again. So it is good practice to disable this if you don't need it. So it's simply no IP, no space IP, domain dash lookup, enter, and that does that for you. now we are going to configure a message of the day. Message of the day, simply it adds a message, a banner at the start of the console line, the configuration lines, and it just basically whatever message you type it displays there. So we're going to do that now, and you do that by typing banner space MOTD. Then I normally do I'm using a Mac keyboard here, so it's slightly different. I do speech marks, then what's it asking us to write? Enter the text. So yeah, unauthorized access is strictly prohibited. And speech mark again when you finish typing within that, and enter. So verify access settings by moving between modes. So exit, yeah. So exit. So that's out of global configuration mode into privileged exec. And we're going to exit again, and you're back at the start now. And as you can see, the message of the day we just configured is displayed here now. So unauthorized access is strictly prohibited. So we'll just go back in with enable, and the password we set previously, which was class, enter, and then conft to get back onto global configuration mode. Few questions there which I'm not going to bother with. That's for those on NetAcad. We are on that now. So first, let's have a look here. Before you can manage S1 remotely from PCA, you must assign a switch and IP address. The default configuration on the switch is to have management of the switch control through VLAN 1. However, a best practice for basic switch configuration is to change management VLAN to a VLAN other than VLAN 1, as VLAN 1 is the default and it's not good practice, guys. For management purposes, use VLAN 99. The selection of VLAN 99 is arbitrary and in no way implies that you should always use VLAN 99. First, create the new VLAN 99 on the switch, and then set the IP address of the switch to 192.168.1.2 with a subnet mask of /24, which is 255.255.255.0 on the internal virtual interface VLAN 99. So we're going to run through that now, each step. So we're back in global configuration mode, and we're going to create a VLAN 99 simply by typing VLAN 99, enter. Now in the VLAN configuration line, as you can see, because it's changed it to configuration of the VLAN, and it's telling us to exit. But just before I do, just to let you guys know, you can actually, instead of having the name VLAN 99, you can put a name by it, simply by name, then entering your name here. So let's just exit out that now, as it's asking us to. Now to actually activate the interface, you need to actually go into the switch virtual interface. So it's interface VLAN 99, enter. Now our link state's changed to up, so let's activate the interface. Now we're going to configure the IP address for VLAN 99's management, which is IP space address 192.168.1.2, and it is 255.255.255.0 as the subnet mask. Then we always finish with a no shutdown or a no shut, which is shorter. Then to get out of that interface configuration, exit, and you're back into global configuration mode. And that's that done. Right, now it's asking us to assign all physical interfaces to VLAN 99. So we are going to do that now with the interface range command. So int for short, space range, and we have 24 ports on this switch and 2 gigabit Ethernet ports. So we'll start off with the fast Ethernet ports, which is F01 to F024, enter, and it is switch port mode. No, we don't need to do the switch port mode. So switch port access VLAN 99, enter, and we'll do interface range G01 /2, and then we get into that. And you could simply just press your up button for shorter and use the same configuration, switch port access VLAN 99, enter, then exit. And if we do show VLAN brief, we'll see that all interfaces now are not under the default VLAN 1. They're actually under VLAN 99. As you can see, all the interfaces here underneath VLAN 99. So that's just an extra thing for you guys. Let's carry on with it. In fact, it's asking us to show the VLAN brief now, which I've just actually done. I'm jumping ahead a bit there, but it's basically just telling you what I've just told you, how the interfaces are now all under VLAN 99. Now we need to set a default gateway, which is going to be, let's have a look what it's saying, to a LAN router, which we haven't got a router in, but we're going to set the default gateway. So back in global configuration mode, it's simply IP default gateway 192.168.1.1, enter. Now that's the default gateway set. Console ports should be restricted. The default configuration is to allow console connections with no password needed. To prevent console messages from interrupting commands, use the login synchronous option. So now we're going to configure the console line. So simply line con 0, and we need to do password Cisco, enter, and login, which enables login, so you've got to log in, then use the password we just set, and login synchronous to prevent the console messages from interrupting commands. Enter. Once we've done that, we can exit out of console mode. Let's go down now, and we're going to do pretty much the same with the VTY lines, the virtual terminal lines. So we are going to do line VTY 0 to 15, password Cisco, login, no login synchronous, and end, which takes you back to privileged. So let's have a look here. Assign the IP address and subnet mask to the PC is shown in the addressing table. An abbreviated version of the procedure is described here. The default gateway is not required for the topology, however you can enter 192.168.1.1 to simulate a route attached to switch 1. So we shall do that. So let's just have a look what the addressing scheme is. So PCA, let's configure that. So IP address is 192.168.1.10 255.255.255.0, and we are going to give it a default gateway of 192.168.1.1, and that's pretty much it for that. So let's scroll back down to where we was, just past the verify and document the switch configurations, test end-to-end connectivity between PCA and switch 1. So we're going to do that now. Display the switch configurations. Oopsie, let's do it through the console line instead of just clicking on the switch, because you can't do that in real life. So terminal line, and on again, and show run. So as you can see here, we now have configurations, however they are not saved yet because we haven't saved them. All ports are assigned to VLAN 99, and we have an IP default gateway and interface VLAN 99 with an IP address 2. So let's scroll down. Do the show interface VLAN 99 command. So VLAN show interface VLAN 99, sorry. And as we can see now, we have an IP address. So still got some questions, some answers in here, which I'll just remove quickly, even though you guys can see them. Test end-to-end connectivity. We're not going to do that. And we're not going to do that. Save the switch running config. We shall do that just to give you guys an idea of that. So copy running config to startup config, enter and enter again. So now it's copied that. So if we do what we did earlier and it didn't work, which was show startup config. There we go. So now we have a startup config now. Manage the MAC address table in part 4. Record the MAC address table, the MAC address of the host. So command prompt IP config dash all, oopsie, IP config dash all, there we go. So we have the MAC address stored in here. So we've done that. So we are now going to go back to the switch and determine the, well, show the MAC address table. Show MAC address table. There's no MAC address table there yet because nothing's traversed through the network. Just a few show commands there. I won't do them all on here. I mean, you've got clear MAC address table dynamic. That just clears a MAC address table for the dynamic MACs. Show MAC address table, we've done that. We can set up a static MAC address now for Fast Ethernet 6. So we shall do that. Yeah, we'll do that. So there were just a few short commands above, as I mentioned. So I won't going to run through them with you guys. We are, however, going to set up a static MAC address on F06 using the address that was recorded for PCA in part 4 step 1. The MAC address, which is the MAC address, is used as an example only. You must use the MAC address of your PCA, which is different than the one given here in the example. So we need the MAC address from PCA, which was that. So I think it's telling us to use that. So let's go back on there. And we need to get to configuration terminal, T. There we go. And we are going to enter the MAC address, so MAC space address table static, and we're going to set the static MAC address. Oops, I'm putting in theirs again now. And I think I should be able to copy this. On the real equipment you can't do that, by the way. You can't copy and paste. So we set the MAC address to VLAN 99 interface F06, enter. There we go. So now if you show the MAC address table, so we need to get out of global config, show MAC address table. Now we have the static MAC address we've just configured in the MAC address table. So let's go back into global config, and to remove the static MAC address we've just assigned, you can press your up arrow on your keyboard and you will get back to the configuration we've just entered, and go all the way to the start of that configuration and just type no space. So it says no MAC address table static in the MAC address VLAN 99 interface F06. Now what this does is removes the configuration you've just done. So we'll do that, and we will exit again, and we will do show MAC address table, and as you can see now there's nothing stored within the MAC address table because we've just removed it. Reflection, this is pretty much the end of the lab now. However, once you're done with the real equipment, especially if someone else is going to be using it, in a lab environment, you do need to make sure that your configurations are removed off there. So it's basically telling us to initialize and reload the router now. However, we don't have a router, so yeah, it does say router. However, we will do it with a switch. So we just simply type arrays startup config, confirm, done. And once you've done that, reload the switch with a simple reload and confirm, another enter, and it begins the reloading. And once it's reloaded, we're just going to do a show flash. There we go. And real equipment, it does take a bit longer to reload. EN show flash, There we go. We've got VLAN data stored. So let me just show VLAN brief. Yep, VLAN 99 data is still there, even though we've erased the startup config. It's still there because it's stored in the flash. So now what we're going to do is we're going to delete that VLAN data. So it's delete VLAN.dat, enter, and enter again, and confirm. Now if we reload, oopsie, it's translating now. This is why you enter the no IP domain lookup command, because if you make an error, like a spelling mistake like I've just done, it'll start trying to translate it, and it does take a while for it to finish translating, which we shall see now. So we've deleted that. Before reloading, in fact, we'll do an erase startup config again, then we'll reload it, which yeah, it's pretty much saying do that here anyway. Then we'll issue the show VLAN brief, just to see and make sure that VLAN 99 has been removed. So there we go. It's been unable to find computer because it wanted a computer. So we'll do a erase startup config again. Now we'll reload it, and we'll do a show VLAN brief. Let's reload it. So enter, enable, show VLAN brief. As we can see now, VLAN 99 isn't here, under here. It's been deleted now because we've just deleted it. So if we do a show flash, as you can see, there's no VLAN data stored now on the flash, so that's all removed now. So that's it, guys. Configuring basic switch settings on the switch CCNA Lab version 5. Any questions, feel free to comment, subscribe, and watch out for the more videos coming up soon.